Hi guys, I'm Dr. Kiana from Indara Naturals, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how much oil you need to be using in your hair. If you like this video and you find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments for me, you can leave them in the comment section below. And if you're looking for our organic natural hair care products, you can find the links to those in the description box underneath the video. So I get this question a lot about oil and whether you should or should not be using it in your hair. And I wanted to answer that in the video today. But what actually triggered me to make the video is that at Indara Naturals, we sell a 2-ounce pre shampoo oil. So this is our organic pre-shampoo oil. The purpose of this oil is you can use it on your hair. You kind of coat your hair with it before you wash, and it keeps any shampoo from stripping or drying your hair out. You can also use it on your ends to keep your ends from getting single strand knots and split ends. But it comes in this 2-ounce bottle, and it comes with a dropper, and you can see that when you fill up the dropper, it doesn't even fill up all the way. So the idea was, by giving the bottle with the dropper, then, you can parse out how much you're going to use and you don't have to use a lot. So I sold this bottle to a customer, and then she came back maybe like 2 weeks later and bought another bottle. And I was like, I sent her an email and I was like, hey, I'm glad to see that you're enjoying the product. Are you buying this for like a friend? Are you gifting it to somebody? And she's like, no, she loved the oil. She's out of it and she's ready to buy some more. And I'm like, well, this bottle is supposed to last, I mean, at least a month. Most people, this bottle will last like 2 or 3 months. So then I'm asking her, how are you using this? Because you shouldn't be out of this in 2 weeks. And she was basically just like taking the dropper off and pouring it, and then, rubbing it over her hair. And that is way too much. You don't need that much. So I mean, if you just like having a ton of oil in your hair, whatever works for you. But for like effectiveness, you don't need that much oil. And in general, when we're using oils in our hair, you don't need that much. So if you're using oil as a hot oil treatment, as a pre-shampoo treatment, if you're using it to help you detangle, if you're using oil on your scalp for hair growth, and that should be an essential oil blend that you're using on your scalp and not just a plain like jojoba oil or almond oil. You want to use an essential oil blend if you're using it for hair growth. But if you're using your oil blend for hair growth, if you're using it for your ends, even if you're using like a butter to twist your hair or braid your hair with, you really, really don't need to use a lot of oil. Oil should be like a supplement for your regimen. It should be used sparingly. The idea is that you want to put a light coating of oil on your hair, but you don't want to douse your hair in oil. You don't want to drown your hair in oil. You should not be pouring oil onto your hair. You shouldn't be like scooping up big globs of shea butter and rubbing that through your hair. We don't want our hair to be oily or greasy to the touch. You shouldn't be having oil stains on your pillow or on your clothes. Like all of these will be signs that you're using way too much oil. So I know that there are some people who advocate for like not using oil at all in your regimen, and I don't lean that far, but I do use some oil in my regimen. And I'll tell you how I use it. So I do use my pre-shampoo oil before I wash my hair. I don't use it every time I wash. I always use it before I use shampoo. But if I'm using our clay mask, then it's really depends on how my hair feels. If my hair is feeling dry, then I might go ahead and use some of the pre-shampoo oil. But when I use this pre-shampoo oil on my hair, I'm taking one dropper, putting it into my hands, rubbing it together, and then rubbing that over my hair. I might go back in and fill up the dropper maybe one more time, and do it again and make sure that I'm getting, right now I have on a headband. So if my hair was out, then I'll be getting like the roots and everything. But that is really it. And you can see that, I don't know if you can see that, but even after rubbing it through my hair, I still have some oil on my hands. And I'm going to use that to rub on my ends. But that's it. Like, you don't need a ton of oil. You don't need to be pouring this bottle into your hand and then rubbing it on your hair. That's way too much. Okay, so I use half of a dropper full, and that's it. If I'm using this on my ends, I'm taking a few drops, like 2, 3 drops, and I'm rubbing it together on my fingers and then rubbing it on my ends. And like I said, I still have oil left on my fingers. So I'm going to rub that on my ends. I might get 2 or 3 more drops and do the back, but that's going to be it. When I'm using the scalp oil, see if I have some over here. So this is our soothing growth oil. And for this, I would take 1 dropper. I would put a few drops throughout my hair. And then I would just take my fingers and massage it in. Again, I have my headband. Excuse me. I have my headband on, so that's kind of getting in the way, but that's it. That's all that you need. That's all the oil that I'm using. So I use the pre-shampoo oil maybe every 2 weeks before I wash my hair. I use my growth oil. Now, I'm not using the growth oil for growth. I'm mainly just using it for maintenance. So I only use it maybe twice a week. If you're using the growth oil for growth, you might want to use it 3 or 4 times a week. But still, you don't need to use that much. You put a few drops in, you massage it in. This small bottle should last at least a month, maybe 2, depending on how often you're using it. But you shouldn't be going through oil like in a week or 2 weeks. And so some of you, you're buying like a big 4 ounce or 8 ounce bottle of oil, and then you're like pouring it, and it's just, that's too much. You don't need that much. So if you're going to use oil in your regimen, I do recommend using it as a pre-shampoo treatment. I do recommend using it on your ends. If your hair is matted, oil is great for helping you detangle. An essential oil blend is good for your scalp, it's good for hair growth. But in all of these scenarios, you do not need a lot of oil. You just need a little. So use your oil sparingly, especially if you're using, a high quality organic oil. Everything that we make is 100% organic. They're very high quality oils. You do not need to be dousing your hair in oil. So if you buy an oil from me, it's going to last you a while. You shouldn't be running out of it in a week or two. So I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you want to contact me directly, you can email me at contact@endaranaturals.com. And I will see you guys in the next video.